Hey guys, what's going on? Mic check, mic check. How we doing today? Awesome. So, this is my first time doing a video like this, and it's pretty interesting, honestly, because I was watching a Blue Angels, which are these jets over here, a video of their 2025 performance, and in an airport or whatever, I forget what airport. But I was like, okay, well, I wonder because we get both jets here um, during an air show. Like we get both teams flip flopping every year. And I was wondering, like, okay, so we have a big Navy here, like where a big Navy area where Navy ships come in for the 4th of July, stuff like that. And then we have the Air Force here. We don't really per se have an Air Force, but we have Grumman here. We have like a bunch of different for our Child Republic. I think we have a bunch of Fairchild Republic. A-10 Thunderbolt was built here, and a bunch of other planes were built here. And I'm like, okay, well, we get both teams here, and I'm like, okay, well, what would it be cool to make a video of my preference of both teams, like both airshow teams? And I never done this on a stream before, so let me actually set this up to see if I can. No, I'm gonna just leave it because you rather see the jets than uh, a webcam video. Um, so I'm like, okay, well, let's make it and see what people think about it. So this is my thoughts about seeing both jets and seeing both. I think the one on the right here is an F-18, like the original F-18 that the Blue Angels had. You can tell by the way the engine is. I don't think that's a Super Hornet. I think that's the regular Hornet or the Legacy Hornet. But yeah. So if it's not, don't judge me. I've been trying to save photos to try to find the perfect photos of both jets because I have opinions on the Super Hornet performance plus the regular Hornet. And this is the, I think, double one too, like the trainer one that they use. I think because this is more sleeker, and then this is where the thing would open. So I think this is the camera F-18 that they use to follow the performance. But also, like, I wanted to give you my opinion because I've seen both shows and I've seen enough of the shows to actually give you guys a, you know, thought of what I prefer and what, and I'm fine with whatever you guys prefer too. Like, it's, either Navy or Air Force. Um, but yeah, so let's get into the interesting video that I never made before, but just figured I'd make it. So hope you guys like it, and let me know if you want more. So basically, I've seen both shows: the Thunderbirds show, which is this plane right here, and the F-18 show. Originally the Super Hornet, no, originally the Legacy Hornet, which is this, and I believe. Or is that the Legacy Hornet? No, that's the, because you can see that. I don't know. Debatably, I don't know if that's Super Hornet or Legacy Hornet. It's kind of hard to tell with the intake um, on that jet. But it looks like the Legacy, I think. But that's definitely the newer Hornets that they have. So, anyways, so I've seen both shows. And, let's start with the Thunderbirds. Or let's start with the Blue Angels because I just started with them anyways. So, both shows are pretty good. I mean, they're not far to. It's so if you've seen an F-18, FA-18 or FA-18 Super Hornet performance, single demo or double demo, they do not do anything like that. Like they don't do anything like um those original demos. So like the Rhino demo team, the F-18 Super Hornet demo. Now, yeah, it's different jet, and it's every jet has its own, you know, engine and its own thing and its own flight dynamics. Obviously, the Super Hornet carries more electronic stuff. I mean the Growler, F-18 Growler. They carry more electronic stuff and jammers and stuff like that. Whereas the Super Hornet and the F-18 Legacy Hornet carry both the same kind of, like they're just basically an upgraded engine as far as I know. And I think from what the Blue Angels said, like the main difference between the Super Hornet and the F-18 Legacy Hornet is a better engine, as well as as you can see, I think I'm hoping this Legacy, it looks like it is because of the curve there, but if it's not, don't hate me. But you can see down there, it's like a smaller intake, whereas on the Super Hornets, they have this big, large, chunky intake. And it's really interesting too because I think they said it just for bigger. I'm not sure, but they did say that the Super Hornets were a little longer than the Legacies, which is this jet right here. And the credit to Newsday LLC, I believe. I don't know where that is located, but recognize the news thing. But anyways, sorry guys, sidetracked. So the difference that the Blue Angels said with the both jets is basically the speed and engine power. So the Legacy Hornets were, I don't know what type of engine they had in the planes, but the Legacies were definitely a lot slower. They could stay at slower speeds more, which means if you like the high alpha performances, like the general high alpha, like the where they stand down tail and basically do a slow pass over or in front of the crowd with the jets. The F-18 Legacy Hornet can do a better job with that maneuver versus the F-18 Super Hornet, which does struggle with that. They have done it, so they basically with that maneuver they shortened it because the Legacy can handle it better than the Super Hornet. But that's the only pretty much difference. I love seeing that. Like that's because like okay, you see all these fast maneuvers and you're like, yeah, okay, and it's like you don't okay, yeah, it's an F-18 Super Hornet, the newest jet out there that's upgraded, better engines, better this, better that, gets to the enemy faster, can do more damage, then get out of there. It can, do more at a faster pace than the F-18 Legacy Hornet. But you don't really. It's either A, you like the faster jets, and B, you like the slower jets. But you don't really get that with the with any of these jets. So I mean you do, but like it's not. They don't generally. They do say it in their performances, like this is how they would attack the enemy, but you don't really get it unless you per se see it. So like basically, um, you would have to per se catch a sneak pass before you do it. You actually would so basically, what I'm trying to say, you would have to catch sneak pass in order to see the raw legacy or the raw power of these things and how they can sneak up on an enemy. And it's actually pretty cool because you. How do I put this in a way that is that you guys will understand? So yeah, you could do flips and you could do this, you could do that, you could do barrel rolls. You know, any check can do that. Um, you could fly upside down. You know, if you see any performances, you know that an extra can fly upside down. It's just I guess the how the wind works, and then you have the same thing, just flying upside down, and it's different with the weight and everything, but to have a jet like stand up on its tail and be like, okay, yeah, I'm flying 120 knots, 121 knots, somewhere around there. I think it's 120 they put the planes at. Um, that's skill. Like, that's an engine producing that amount of power to keep the jet like that. And with the F-A-18s, they have these flaps here. So these flaps will actually come down to support the jet. So when it's flying at slow speeds, the computers will say, okay, we're flying at slow speed. We need a larger wing to compensate for the slower flight. So the jets will automatically put the wings out, or there's slats here, I believe, or flaps that will automatically extend to give the jet more maneuverability at lower speeds. You can see that right here as well with this jet. And we've been to many air shows, and it's actually pretty interesting, honestly, because you never honestly I've been trying to for the longest time catch a sneak pass, and it's like they always switch around, they always do this, they always do that, and like we've been leaving at different times during the air show, and it's honestly, I mean, with these sneak passes, and I'm gonna talk about mainly all the maneuvers basically, or some of them at least, that the Blue Angels and Thunderbirds do. With the sneak passes, it's honestly really cool because if you catch it early enough, you could see how quiet the jet is, and how, like, because the only thing that we know that they switch with these jets are the armament, which is on the underside of the wings, usually. So they take all that off. They take off any weight that's not necessary for the plane. They take off they add a smoke canister in the back of the jet. So the jet has a smoke thing right here, or right back here under or right here-ish, that produces white smoke, and and that goes, so that's how they can generally turn it on and off. And that's of most planes, but above the speed of sound, like when they go full afterburner, you do not see that because the smoke will essentially I don't know what you call it, disappear basically or dry up. So it's like moisture, and the moisture gets heated up, and then there's no smoke. That's the best way of actually playing it without being confusing. So that's how they actually do that. So these jets are the real jets that they use in the war, but they are older, and they have tons of flight hours. So these jets are already used. They don't need them. They're older jets, and they're just going to get rid of them um, in a certain amount of years. That's why most of them do have occasional issues. Now, obviously, every jet has issues. Every plane has issues. It's a mechanical issue with any jet, any airline, any plane, any car would have the same mechanical issues. But these are older jets, so they do have a lot of issues with the engines as well. I think we had one that stayed here a day after the air show to fix some sort of problem with the engine, or the gauge wasn't working, or something wasn't working with the Blue Angels F-18, I believe, last year. But in terms of overall performance with these jets and everything, and doing aerobatics is cool, but when you see it enough, it's basically like, okay, like we can only do. So there's the Rhino demo team, there's the A-10 demo team, there's the F-18 US Navy Blue Angels that do formation flying. There's the F-16 demo team, which does a heritage flight, I believe, as well, where they take an older jet and a propeller plane and they fly across the shoreline, and do a couple maneuvers like that. Essentially formation flying with a slower plane, propeller plane, usually. But it's like, you see enough of it. Like, okay, so basically, this year we had the F-35B, the F-35, the Navy F-35, and the military F-35. The Navy one can hover, where the military one cannot. And you get the Thunderbirds. No, wait, sorry. We had the Growler. I think we have the Growler demo team. Hang on, let me check. Pretty sure we have it. I'm 99% sure we do. I'm not probably gonna check. But I am sure that we do have the should have brought it up, but hang on a second. Let me. Oh no, we're fine. Okay, so I believe we have the ground demo team, but basically, if you look at any that defeats the purpose of whatever, not this video, but whether we have it or not, you guys will see it in about 3 weeks or so if we do. But if you see enough of it, you start to, okay, like I bought my ex-girlfriend to the air show, and she was really excited about it. She was like, the she doesn't do that much research on jets. She just likes the fact, jets fly, whatever. I think the only thing that I got into with her was like the US Navy Blue Angels, the US Air Force Thunderbirds. She thought that was cool. And she thought I didn't really ask her because, I could obviously tell. But how like they have the US Air Force Thunderbirds. Well, at least for the Jones Beach Air Show they do. They put in the C-130, I think, for both air shows ish, and they put the and that's my folder. And they put the Fat Albert before the actual show, so essentially they had the Thunderbirds in the air same time as or the Blue Angels after so the Blue Angels are essentially circling the air show box while the Thunderbirds while the Fat Albert is literally doing the performance. So, it's like time right. But when you when you see it, it was really funny because she literally thought and you'll see it, I just posted the video as well. She literally thought, I believe, the C-130 was the, Blue Angels, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting, but it's so interesting, but you don't really but back to this thing, you don't really get it's not boring, but it's okay, this is really cool, Thunderbirds versus Navy versus anything, depending on, dang, that phone just making so much noise. Yeah, Thunderbirds versus Blue Angels, it's kind of interesting, I guess, because it depends in general and I know in different country wise, we are the one where we always I believe the US Navy Blue Angels switch versus, so if Jones Beach gets the Thunderbirds one year, then the US Navy Blue Angels will come next year. I don't know if every air show around the United States has that, but if you've seen the US Navy Blue Angels and you've seen the Thunderbirds and you've seen both demonstration teams, the maneuvers, the whatever, but it's also exciting, especially for the Blue Angels because they switched to these Super Hornets now, and they're more bigger, they're more cleaner, they look nice, new paint schemes, not this old kind of, faded blue. It's more of a shinier blue like this. So it's it pretty much depends on the actual person, honestly. If you have more Navy in the family, then you do Thunderbirds, or you do Navy or Air Force, then you would basically prefer each. And I wanted to actually add in something as well that happened in the air show with Thunderbirds. That was really cool. But it's depends on you see the Navy Blue Angels enough, and you see but it's it's never old. It's never oh yeah, same maneuvers, whatever. It's, you see the Rhino demo team enough. Yeah, they switched it. The F-16 Flying Falcon demo team changed their plane to the factory F-16, the YF-16 color scheme, which was really cool. That's legacy, whatever. It does the same maneuvers, the same this, the same that, depending on what the chick can handle. And they do add different maneuvers in throughout the years of the show once they get more. I think they're trying to get closer and closer and closer as they perform. So it's different teams every year or every so years. But it's, I think, different bosses. I'm not sure how that works realistically. But it's different bosses. It's not old, like the Rhino demo team or the A10 demo team or the um, obviously, these planes, they get older every year, and it's nostalgic, especially the um, Farmingdale. Um, Trying to think of the name. Uh, Heritage. No, not Heritage. Well, it's like basically an older B-17 that basically was from the war that never was shot down. It was basically the Yankee lady, but she wasn't uh, shot down because she was more of the newer B-17s that I think weren't used, so they kept her for air show purposes and stuff like that, and she flies. I think she comes here as well as I think we have the P-51s here that fly with her so occasionally. I haven't seen her. I think it's DC-3 now, but I gotta look up the notes for her and stuff like that and see what's up with her, and if the plane still flies. But like the nostalgic B-17, P-51s. What's an older plane? The Dauntlesses, the P-47s, C-17s, not C-47s, DC-3s. That is more of, I guess, a nostalgic kind of. So if you like the nostalgic thing of it, it's okay. That never gets old. You see, oh yeah, I used to fly in a B-17 or I used to fly in a C-47 versus seeing a Rhino demo team and the U.S. Navy Blue Angels or do their flight demonstration and stuff like that. So it's not old, but it's not like new. Like they don't add, obviously from what I know, they don't add anything new. Like it's the square loop, and you type in no, I'm sorry, minimum radius turn, and you type in CF-18 minimum radius turn. Now it's a different jet, but it's the minimum radius turn. It's the high alpha maneuver. It's the like how well can you perform it in a jet that given day, that given. Now if you really want to go into it, which it's kind of interesting if you're a weather fanatic with these jets. So on a really hot day, they can't take off with a certain speed because the runway's too hot, the ground's too hot. So when you get moisture in the air, that affects jet. When you get this in the air, that affects jet. Heat, sun. Well, not sun per se, but heat, weather, wind, and anything can affect jets. So essentially, it's not always the same show. They're doing the same maneuvers, but you're never gonna get like a perfect day where you're gonna be like, oh yeah, this is a Thunderbird jet. The jet is a machine. It performs how it performs every single air show. And there's issues that do happen when the plane lands, takes off, those maneuvers, and it's a machine. It gets old, and then they have to replace parts. So essentially, if you want to look at it that way, it's always a different air show. But with the CF-18s versus the F-18s, they're not doing per se. They're doing the same maneuvers, so it's like if you see that enough, it's like, okay, square loop, jet's gonna go around in a circle. Okay, then this jet's gonna do this jet's gonna do that. But what I like as because the U.S. Navy Blue Angels, they do more with the way they perform. Like, so they do more formation flying than the Thunderbirds do. So essentially, it's like, okay, this jet is 5 feet away from this other jet, or however much it is away when they're doing diamond formations and stuff like that. So it depends on what you per se like. And I'm like, you know what, maybe I should make a video about this, just to switch it up a little bit, because I've never done this before, and honestly, it's probably like a half-hour video by now. But, it's interesting. For aviation enthusiasts, it would be interesting, I think, honestly, because, like, yeah, the F-18 here, F-18 here, F-18 here, and F-16. And, it's really cool, if you really look into it and you're like, yeah, I want to make a video about, what my thoughts about what team I like and stuff like that. So, you know, so there's been different engine variants, like I said, with the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. I think there's like two. And we all know now that every jet performs differently in every air show, depending on the wind, depending on the pilot. But this is the time in the video where I per se would prefer the Thunderbirds over the Blue Angels, and that's just because of something that happened in the last air show, or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago. So, and I don't have it on film literally, but I remember it because it was so, like, we're trying to, like, because we always left the air show early. So, it was like, okay, yeah, we see the Thunderbirds, we want to get away from the crowds and everything. And I'm like, okay, you know what, it's okay, so we don't get stuck in the crowds and have to wait until like 5 o'clock to get out of the, Jones Beach, right? So here I am walking on the boardwalk back to the entrance of Jones Beach, and I'm like watching jets as I'm walking back, and people are walking back at the same time, right? So, and I'm watching the jet, right? So I think, I don't know what I did or whatever, but I'm like, I see this thing and I'm like, that the way the way the Thunderbirds actually, like, because if you don't, here's the perfect air show, like, so either you're not, here's the, I guess, perfect way of looking at this. So you either A, don't listen to the, like, okay, so when wind is perfect on Jones Beach, now I'm saying south wind, or depending on where you're on the beach, so you can get a west wind or an east wind, so the sound's gonna go, and you get strong enough, the sound's gonna go right out to the beach. And no, I'm sorry, north wind. So you get north wind, the sound is gonna go behind you. You get east wind, the sound's gonna go east, west, etc. And then you get south wind, it's gonna go towards you. So what's really cool about that is, if you don't know what's happening, so you could see, okay, yeah, the U.S. Navy or the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds are going to do a formation flight over the crowd, diamond loop or the diamond pass or the photo pass or whatever they do, right? And then diamond photo pass. So you don't know where both the jets are, and like obviously this is a crowd favorite, I guess, in terms of what I'm thinking of. It is a crowd favorite for me. Like, I prefer it over all of the maneuvers because of this one thing. So we're walking back to the car. We're walking back to the car and or the entrance to Jones Beach, and I'm looking at Thunderbirds, and then I'm like, I hear this sound. I'm like, okay, that's a sneak pass. I know the sound, like I know the engine, and I'm like, I've over the years listened to sneak pass of the F-16, of the Super Hornet, as well as the Legacy Hornet, and I'm like, okay, that's a sneak pass, and it's like, the sound when it comes, the front of how it sounds like as it's flying over you, and the different intervals of whatever the jet sounds like. You breathe that into it, which I am technically. I've been doing flights, since this month started because I'm so excited about that, and the air show is here, and I finally get to catch the C-17, which is a sidetrack, but I'm just so excited. Anyways, so it's like you hear the engine. If you're really into jets and really into planes, like, okay, this maneuver does this maneuver, the engine sounds like this. So okay, I've been trying to catch the sneak pass forever. Now I'm like, okay, they do it on this maneuver. It's this maneuver, and I don't want to catch it, but yeah, I do want to catch it because it's like that's the thing I've been trying to catch, but they always switch it, so it's like kind of thing for me, like, when are they gonna do the sneak pass? It's coming, right? So, anyways, sorry, sidetracked again. So it's coming, and you've seen the Thunderbirds and Blue Angels enough, and to where like how the engine sounds, and it's a machine, so obviously it's gonna sound differently every year, because of the wind, etc., the way the engine sounds, etc. How fast the engine is going at that particular moment. So I'm like, okay, that's sneak pass, right? So I'm like, like walking back, and I'm like, okay, I think they're just gonna do formation flights. So I look back, 4 jets are literally flying past, and I hear this. I'm like, okay, this is the sound that, okay, where are these jets now? So either A, they're flying behind me, or B, they're flying in front of me, and it was like a photo shot per se that you like. It was like, wow, this jet literally does this to enemies and flies this low, this fast, and it looks like a small tiny jet. It's like a small tiny F-16, etc. Right here, like this long and yay long. It's this big old tiny thing with this tiny little engine down here, and goes Mach 1, and you're like, okay, that's cool, speed wise, right? Same with the Blue Angels. They had 2 fans here, 2 engines on the back. It's like, okay, pretty cool. But when you can literally see how the Air Force or the Navy, without doing it, like, if you can connect, like, okay, like, I think I read something like a long time ago where it's like F-16 literally went the speed of sound and released the sound like pulled up and released the sound. So like when the sound is going, or like when you're going past the speed of sound, the sound is behind the jet. But if you the jet pulls up, that sound is still going essentially. So the sound basically hit the enemy, and basically we were able to escape or push forward while the enemy was, because obviously, we obviously fight with these F-16s. They're military jets or Navy jets, so the enemy is pretty much used to it, or per se knows, like, okay, it's a military jet, I'm gonna shoot at it, right? But like, it's like, okay, what can I do to not? It was close enough to where they couldn't bomb, because the bomb would kill friendlies, or they couldn't shoot like a missile, because it would kill friendlies as well. So it's like, okay, let me go full afterburner, Mach 1, over the enemy, pull up, release the sound barrier, release the I can't think of the name right now. Release the sound behind the jet, so that when you're going Mach 1, all the sound's behind you. So he basically released that sound, and it was, they were able to advance because of that. So when you see that, like, in an air show, it's like, so they don't really plan for that, obviously. Like, they're not gonna literally do maneuvers like they would. Okay, here's how they would do this maneuver. Here's how they would do this maneuver. They do what is cool and fun to watch. It's an air show, so show force, show this, show that. But when they do, like, okay, you see that every year, and you get like, okay, yeah, this is cool, whatever. Well, you can say whatever, because obviously the Thunderbirds and F-18, when the Navy's in town, or when the Air Force is in town, it's exciting. But when you actually see the way that a maneuver was pulled, or how quiet it is compared to, like, okay, so the jet's really quiet at Mach 1, so all the sound's behind the jet, right? So you're at ground level, you're hearing the engine sound, and the sound's producing sound waves and etc., or the engine's producing sound waves which we're able to hear or whatever. So it's like, once you see that, it's like amazing. So like, it's not like they would ever do that again. So like, at that moment, it's like really cool, like, for an aviation enthusiast to see that, when it's not really in their performance at all. But like, oh yeah, I've heard about this, and the Thunderbirds did this, so I now see how that F-16 was able to sneak up on the enemy, essentially, and drop a sound on them that basically rendered us to be able to advance and take more ground from the enemy. It's like, I think that's honestly really cool. So, and it's not that I don't like the Blue Angels. I mean, the Blue Angels are cool, so look at this big jet. So, it's just like, when you create a memory from a show and stuff like that, it sticks with you. And I'm like, I originally liked the F-18 Blue Angels. They're louder, they're whatever. But when you see, like, when stuff happens in the real world that they do in shows, and you can make that connection, it's cool. Because like, how, because obviously, an F-16 can get shot down, and F-18 can get shot down by the enemy. But when you're able to, like, okay, I don't know that I have a radar, but with the radar cross section and how, like, they use the planes and everything, so how what's it called, like the radar cross section, or how they make planes invisible per se by using radar absorbing material on the jets, versus, like, okay, so you have a jet, you have the radar's tracking the jet, and this pilot was able to use the jet to be able to, let me just move this now like this. Oh. So the pilot was able to use the jet to advance, to help our military advance, as well, and it's really cool, honestly, because, like, when you look into it, like, it's interesting how jet and the pilot can literally do something that the jet wasn't meant for, at all. Like, this is a killing machine. If you add missiles here, you can add missiles here. But when you're able to use a jet to literally do that and make that connection through the air shows, it's actually pretty cool. So, that's my opinion on the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels. I hope you enjoy this video, and I know it's long, probably, obviously. Let's see. I know it's probably really long, but I really had fun making this video for you guys and giving my opinion. And if you guys want to see more of this, please definitely leave a comment and or a like on the video, and I'll be making more videos of, like, the Rhino demo team versus the A-10, and the maneuvers. Like, I know I didn't talk about the maneuvers too much in this, but if you guys definitely want to see that, definitely let me know, and I will make videos for you guys, more videos for you guys. And let's see what we're at here. Oh my god, we're at 47 minutes. But, I've seen videos that are that long too, so if you're into the US Navy or you're into the F-16, I hope you like this video, and I'll be looking forward to making more videos like this for you guys. I just wanted to do something different as well, because, to keep you guys interested. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. And Airshow Week is starting earlier, as you could tell. I'm posting stuff from the US Navy Blue Angels, and I'll also be posting stuff from the US Air Force Thunderbirds, as well as the F-35, A-10. I think I saw it. Yeah, I did see the A-10. F-35, A-10, Red Bull helicopter, I think. Biplanes, etc. So if you're into aviation, stick with this channel, leave a like, subscribe. Love making videos for you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.